I feel like I'm always gonna feel like there's like something missing forever.
I miss every single thing.
That was the worst day of my life, honestly.
They were grown men. My brother was 15.
I don't know what am I gonna do without him.
Before I left to work, he was in the shower, and I just said, "Bye, skinny." That's it. But I said bye, so that counts.
Before 10, I was already in bed, trying to sleep because I have to go to work the next day. That's when he went to my room and said, "Mommy, Jason said he wanted $5." And I say, "Oh my God, by that time, Junior, it's too late." I say, "No, Mommy, I go and give it to him." I say, "Did really you want to go?" And he went to my purse, he opened my purse and grabbed the $10. And I let him go to bring it down the $5. I was falling asleep and I called him, Junior, you're taking too long, come. He answered to me, 10:32. I spoke with him over the phone. I heard normal voice. I don't hear nothing. I just say, "Come, please come." He said, "Yes, Mommy, I'm coming." I fall asleep.
Like 11:30-ish, around there. I get home. As soon as I put my stuff down, I get a phone call from my friend Marcus, and he tells me, he's like, "This happened." And I thought he was joking. Like, I was so mad at him. I was like, "You better not be playing with me, because this is not a joke, it's not funny." But then I heard him crying, so I ran downstairs.
He say, come. I heard the stabbing Junior. I didn't imagine what kind was happening. I didn't not imagine it's gonna be big like that.
Police say they responded to East 183rd Street shortly before midnight, where they were told that the teen had gotten into a fight with a group of men before he was stabbed in his neck. Those men fled the scene while the boy took his last breaths trying to get help.
He ran to the hospital and only got to make it to the front of it.
One of the lady who was there, trauma area from the hospital, I told her, take that picture, because I wasn't gonna have nothing else from him, only this.
I kept trying to open his eyes, because I wanted him to wake up. But he was already getting cold. And I didn't know that they got cold so fast. It had only been like an hour. He was already getting cold. I just kissed his face and played with his hair.
My friend hits me up with a screenshot from News 12 and he's like, "Oh, is this Lesandro?"
What happened? And then he was like, Lesandro has passed away.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, automatically I went into shock. Like, I couldn't believe what was going on.
At that moment, you know, my heart was crushed. I felt destroyed, and I went over to Junior's house, you know, to pay my condolences.
Definitely disbelief. You see something on the news, you're kind of like, no, that's not true.
Why? Why you? And then why is this happening?
He was just telling me, like, come down, like, we're gonna get through this and stuff like that.
I literally, I kid you not, I said, nobody's gonna care. It's just another kid that died in the Bronx. Nobody cares about the Bronx. Nobody cares about us. every time I'd scroll down, I saw the video.
Imagine it. I don't have no word to say now. I don't know. That was so horrible.
Although hard to watch, the images of these suspects repeatedly stabbing that young man is crystal clear. Now police and the victim's family are turning to the public to get these men behind bars.
It was haunting.
I just grabbed the phone, I saw it, and like I just, started crying, and I was just like, this can't be real, like this can't really be happening.
The other camera and how he got stabbed and all that. And I couldn't like watch it no more. But I was so angry, I couldn't go to sleep that night. It was like too much.
First thing I did, it was 6 in the morning, right into the office, and they showed me the video, and it was horrific.
How he was dragged like a little animal, not even an animal you treat like that. This is a human being. I mean, how much hate and how much anger can you have?
Never seen anything that bad.
Never in my life, never.
What killed me the most is when I was looking at his face and I saw how scared he looked. I'd never seen him look so scared in his life.
It traumatized me. Like I couldn't sleep, and then every time I would try to go to sleep, it would like pop up of how the blood and all that, yeah.
And there was no one that was able to look at what happened, how this group dragged him out of there, how they each took turns sticking a knife in him, beating him, as he pleaded for his life. Even the most long-term detective upstairs, it felt it in his heart.
It definitely shook me. I had goosebumps. Like, I don't know how to explain, but I just felt my heart break into pieces.
You hear about things every day, you see things in the newspaper, you see things in the news, but you never actually get to see firsthand, like somebody suffer like that.
I don't know why nobody was able to help him.
I got angry because the person who was recording could have done something.
I mean, I know people get scared in a situation like that and you don't know what to do, but very sad.
I can't blame them because honestly, nobody's ever seen anything like that. And especially for it to be somebody you know, somebody that you're close to, that you've known for years. I mean, I would freeze up. I wouldn't know what to do either.
And I wished I was there in the moment so I could actually do something.
Some blame those inside of that shop, saying they did not do enough to help.
So I see him getting dragged out the store. And then the bodega, the clerk, he wasn't doing nothing.
But the manager of the store says it wasn't that easy. In detail, he explains how Lesandro Guzman-Feliz, known as Junior, ran into the store and jumped over the counter seeking shelter. Their initial thought was that they were being robbed. He claims they struggled to keep the door closed, but the men made their way inside anyway.
Fuimos amenazados.
Memorial now, though, does continue to grow. Katie, what's the latest?
Yeah, that memorial growing, and as are the crowds of people, as well as the support for Junior's family. You can see them gathered here outside the bodega. They've been chanting justice for Junior.
I didn't know him, but he touched a lot of hearts.
It's a tragedy for the neighborhood, for everybody, for the world. But what the community is doing, it's beautiful.
He's my age. We're both Dominican, and like it could happen to any of us.
So many people just like wanted to be there, wanted justice for Junior.
That could have been you, that's the thing, and you could just see yourself in it.
Although my kids are young, it was my kids.
And I cried like if it was my own son.
He was always walking around the hallway smiling. He always cared about everybody around him.
Everything I do in Explorers is basically to honor him and show, or basically be the person that makes it for him.
We want to grow out of it and build something big for the world. And that was what he wanted to do.
I could like dedicate like my career to him. I tell him, one day, bro, one day.
Little things remind me of him.
Like, once I see his face, his smile, I just like, everything starts coming back to me. I'm like, damn.
I wake up, I think about it. I go to sleep, and sometimes I can't even sleep. So I go to the cemetery like every week.
feel like too much of the time, tragedy is the only thing that brings people together. And I want it to be the opposite of that. I want love to bring people together. Because the world does need more of that.
Almost a year later, and you can just feel how much of what happened here on this sidewalk is burned into people's memories. Junior's loved ones and people who never even met him. Hours after Junior died, when this whole corner became his memorial, detectives over at the 48th Precinct got to work. And so did New Yorkers, calling in tip after tip as justice for Junior began.
Not sleeping, running down every lead, identifying the people on those videos.
Arrest after arrest.
In less than a week, investigators have rounded up several men they believe are responsible.
Junior Guzman is dead because of 14 separate individuals all did something that led to his death.
And now a murder trial underway.
Abuser, killer, murder!
It was hard for me, you know?
Where are we now, 1 year later? Next on Justice for Junior, more than a murder.
He was a baby. They killed my son.
Really probably one of the best cooperative investigations with the community I've ever seen.
Now what they need to do is just get the justice for Junior that he deserves.
The NYPD released that infamous surveillance video less than 48 hours after Junior's murder, with clear images of the men on the hunt for Lesandro Guzman-Feliz in the moments before he was killed. Now that went viral, and Amanda Bossert takes us from where this investigation started at the 48th Precinct to where it stands now in the Bronx County Hall of Justice.
We got some tremendous tips that came right in from this. Over 40 Crime-Stopping tips, good tips, tips that really led to the arrest.
And right now to a breaking news update. 7 people now in custody, 1 officially facing charges.
Kevin Alvarez turns himself into the 48th Precinct while 6 other suspects are captured at a house in New Jersey. Before they can even be extradited to New York City for charges, Elvin Garcia is taken into custody, making him the 8th suspect.
This investigation is not over. We will leave literally no stone unturned until we make sure that we get justice.
Throughout July, 4 more men are walked out of the 4-8 in connection to this case, and all 12 are indicted on murder charges by the middle of the month. Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark calling this a case of gang violence and mistaken identity, identifying the suspects as members of the Trinitarios, specifically the Los Sures set, who set out to kill members of the rival Sunset chapter on the night of June 20th. After that revelation, the case quiets down until late August, when Ronald Ureña becomes the 13th suspect taken into custody. A few weeks later, Frederick Then turns himself in after being identified by police, bringing the number of men arrested to 14. 5 of them, Elvin Garcia, Antonio Rodriguez Hernandez Santiago, Jose Muniz, Manuel Rivera, and Jonaiki Martinez Estrella, are charged with first-degree murder. These are the men police say can be seen on the now infamous video stabbing the teenager to death. The remaining 9 charged with murder in the 2nd degree, among other crimes. According to Bronx Assistant District Attorney Morgan Dolan, the evidence against the 5 men charged with first-degree murder will show Junior was a helpless victim of circumstance, mistakenly identified by Trinitarios who planned to kill rival members of their own gang. Defense attorneys for the men on trial say they didn't set out with intent to kill the teen, instead pointing the finger at Jonaiki Martinez Estrella as the murderer, responsible for killing Junior with a 4-inch deep stab to his jugular. The prosecution's case includes a 22-minute video compiled from 13 angles of surveillance footage, capturing all the attackers on camera.
This is so very difficult. That's why I don't want to see it. I put my head down.
An ex-girlfriend reveals Elvin Garcia confessed his involvement to her. A gang investigator identifies Diego Suero as the first boss of the Los Sures set of Trinitarios, Frederick Then second in command. He also says snitching members are ordered to be murdered. Testimony that's substantiated when Kevin Alvarez takes the stand for the prosecution and testifies against members of the gang he was trying to join. Alvarez pleaded guilty to manslaughter and conspiracy and will be sentenced to time served for the conspiracy charge, as long as his testimony is truthful. Under oath, the first man arrested in connection to Junior's death identifies each of the men now charged with first-degree murder and details how he met with them and other members of the Los Sures and Bad Boys sets at Diego Suero's Boston Road home on the night of June 20th, 2018. That's when the alleged first boss told them to, quote, do what they had to do to rival Sunset members in retaliation for the shooting of a man identified as Chino. Alvarez recounts driving up to Junior with others in his car. He says the 15-year-old looked up when they called out Popo, a Trinitario saying, but didn't understand other gang calls. Alvarez testifies, quote, the only thing I heard him say is that he wasn't Sunset before the group chased Junior down blocks of Belmont into the bodega on East 183rd and Bathgate. Alvarez admits to helping drag Junior out onto the sidewalk, where he says his associates were ready and waiting with knives. After the attack, Alvarez says the men involved reconvened at Suero's apartment, where this picture was passed around in an effort to identify Junior as a Sunset, but they couldn't find him in the photo. That's when Alvarez says he told the group, quote, I hope you didn't kill him. Alvarez not the only Trinitario to turn on the gang during the trial. The other man seen with him on the surveillance video from inside the bodega, a face without a name until now, when prosecutors call Michael Sosa Reyes to the stand. Reyes reveals he fled